Welcome to Chat Cyber, a podcast on all things cyber policy, where we explore key issues and discuss policy strategies with industry experts.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Chat Cyber. In this episode, we had the pleasure of chatting with Mr. Mike Duffey from FDLE Cyber Division at Sunshine CyberCon. Great conversation. We got to jump into what the role of FDLE and specifically the Cyber Division is in combating cybercrime and talk about some of the challenges that they face on a daily basis. Jordan, could you tell us a little bit more about Mike and give us his background?
Yeah, absolutely. So Special Agent in Charge Mike Duffey holds a career in criminology from Florida State University. He commenced his law enforcement career 28 years ago with the Tallahassee Police Department, where he served as a patrol officer before transitioning to the Street Crimes Unit, specializing in street narcotic sales. He eventually transitioned to the field of cybercrime and technology, and in 2003 he joined the FDLE's Computer Crime Center, where he was involved in numerous computer crime cases. He currently leads FDLE's Cyber Division, overseeing the expansion and development of their regional presence in combating cybercrime, digital forensics, FDLE's wiretap intercept team, and the expansion of their incident response teams. Additionally, Mike continues to develop FDLE's electronic surveillance support teams throughout the state. So we were very, very lucky and very excited to be able to speak with Mike Duffey. We had an amazing conversation at CyberCon, which was awesome.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, let's get into the conversation. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Chat Cyber. Really excited today. We're doing something that's a first for Chat Cyber. We're shooting this podcast episode live from the Sunshine CyberCon. Jordan, will you take it away and introduce our guest?
Yes, we are here today with Mike Duffey. He's Special Agent in Charge leading the Cyber Division at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. So we'll just dive right into the questions. So can you tell us a little bit about the Cyber Division, FDLE Cyber Division, and maybe about some of the cyber incidents that you all respond to?
Sure. So FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, started around 1998. The Florida legislature, in its infinite wisdom, said, we think cyber is going to be a thing. And suddenly we became the group that helped combat online exploitation, online threats. Of course, as we all know, the landscape has greatly grown over the years. And so this team out of headquarters became 7 different teams. So we have a footprint across the whole state and partner with a lot of our federal partners as a lot of these large investigations seem to stem across the seas. So when we're looking at this team, it's really made up of sworn and non-sworn individuals who are new. Some of them folks are just out of college with a master's in cybersecurity. Some of them are self-taught. Then some of them are police officers. So it's a unique blend of trying to find a law enforcement officer who understands tech and can understand how ones and zeros relate to an investigation and understand digital forensics. Of course, we live in a connected world today, so it's not just a computer. It's a phone, it's a car, it's a refrigerator, it's whatever you name in your house. The watches we wear. So there's digital footprints everywhere, and so when we're looking at these investigations, we're really having to look at the landscape of connectivity. Where were you? How were you connected? And what breadcrumbs or digital footprint did you leave behind? And so a lot of these investigations are highly technical in nature and rely upon a very lengthy set of training to get some of these folks up to speed to be able to properly collect digital evidence. And in most cases, when we're sharing these investigations that we're working, most of these investigations are a lot of times nation-state actors, and we in Florida here have a small piece of a larger pie, and so we're taking things that are occurring here in Florida, both to businesses, critical infrastructure, and we're making sure that at a federal level, a lot of our partners know that, hey, we saw this occurring here. Add this to your larger case. And so maybe the way they acted in the past has changed, and now they're acting with a different set of tools. And so we're constantly looking for that landscape, both on the dark web and then as we share intelligence across agencies.
So it's interesting, we've
not Cyber Florida doesn't just work with a touch with law enforcement. We do a lot with K-12 education, obviously the higher education system. It's interesting. I didn't know that you guys weren't 100% sworn law enforcement. You have folks from other backgrounds. We've got a couple of students here in today's live audience. We've seen a lot of those similar issues in the K-12 classroom. Do you pull people from industry where it's a little harder to compete with salaries sometimes into the classroom? Do you pull them into law enforcement? Or you try to train law enforcement officers or teachers in cybersecurity skills? Like, how do you guys tackle that problem?
So, it's a mindset change. If I rolled back the clock 15 years ago, it was police officers have to do police work. You're the only ones that can do it. Well, we've realized over time that that's not necessarily the case. We have a hybrid approach now where we take some of the youth today that is coming up and wanting to experience this, to get real world experience working criminal investigations, and help them learn their skill set. And at the same time, identifying those law enforcement officers that have the aptitude. You don't want to shove it down somebody's throat and say, you're going to learn this when they have no desire to even be engaged with any type of cybercrime. And it's expensive. It's truly a passion for some of the folks that get into this world. Is not the most exciting thing at times, but you make of it what you want to make of it. But for us, it's a hybrid approach. Like you mentioned, the private sector, we do lose a lot of our talent to the private sector, but at the same breath, we have people that leave the private sector after many years and just are tired with the speed and pace at which those, the demands happen. So they come back to us and back in. So we've seen it both ways.
We have our friends from Pasco Sheriff's Office in the crowd here, and we use them as an example. Some of the work we've done with them, I'd be remiss if I didn't plug the audience once again. Cyber Florida's SOC program, Student Analyst Program, and some of the cool stuff our students have got to do to aid investigations like that. We always warn them, like, listen, your first job when you leave this is probably not going to be this cool.
Right.
But you had mentioned something else earlier, and it's a good way to segue back into the scripted questions here. What are some of the challenges that law enforcement is experiencing as it relates to cyber incident response? You mentioned a lot of the perpetrators of cybercrime are often overseas.
Yep.
And I know that is a hard nut to crack as far as how to do cyber law enforcement in that context. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So for us, it's when an incident happens, it's putting that team together. And that team doesn't need to be where the incident occurred. So if the event occurred in Orlando, then the team necessarily doesn't need to be in Orlando. They can be anywhere around the state. Because we're able to share information, we're able to do digital forensics, we're able to do log analysis to see what's occurring and then push out some bulletin so that others in the industry can be aware that, hey, do you run the same type of system? If so, you may want to go look at the following logs, or you may go check your firewall. I mean, there's a whole host of things in that area that we start looking at. Okay, what can we grab and share as quickly and safely as we can to not jeopardize the investigation.
We talked a little bit about the challenges that law enforcement specifically facing. Now, do you have any policy recommendations that you might help alleviate some of those challenges?
We do. So we see a lot of times when companies are impacted. First, there's the embarrassment of having a data breach happen. So a lot of times there is a tendency to close the gates and not talk about it or not share anything. So what we recommend to a lot of businesses and a lot of agencies, to include state agencies, is have a plan. Where's your cyber incident response plan? If you don't have a plan, then that's step one. If you do have a plan, the next thing we're asking is, how often do you exercise it? If you say, well, I've got a backup server and we have a redundancy in our data storage, when's the last time you went over and turned it on? Or when's the last time you checked your generators? When's the last time you actually exercised to make sure that in accordance with your policy that everything is actually working? We see cyber insurance becoming a thing. It wasn't a thing up until years past here. It's very rarely now. And what we've noticed is the impacted agencies that do have cyber insurance, first of all, in Florida, Last year, the legislature passed some language that made the payment of ransomware by state agencies that's illegal. So the reason being is we don't know who we're paying. And you don't know, not only do you not know who you're paying, but you don't know with certainty that you're going to get all your data back.
Or that it'll be a deterrent from getting hit.
Right. And so a lot of it is finding the insurance company that fits your business model. And what we mean by that is the insurance companies are realizing that we have to hold our customers accountable, meaning that if you're going to buy insurance, then we're going to expect you to do your updates. We're going to expect you to have all the right policies and procedures in place so that when something happens, because it's not a is it going to happen, it's when it happens, that you are prepared to begin to defending yourself. Do you have a contract retainer? For us in law enforcement, part of the challenge is we're there to do our investigation and help you to a degree with recovery. We don't have the bodies to sit there and help every agency recover and build your systems back. We don't have that. We lean upon the companies to say, who's your contractor? Who are you going to bring in here? And what policies and procedures do you have in place so that when something does happen, that we're ready? Yes, be proactive. And you know, a lot of the companies will say it comes at a cost. Where do we fiscally have to budget to be prepared to spend technical dollars to enhance your security posture? And what, if they get in and when they get in, what is the risk? How many systems are interconnected? Could they walk laterally across your network? Very easy.
It becomes a business decision, but living in modern age, fortunately, unfortunately, the exposure to risk is becoming a much greater cost than whatever it's going to cost up front to do it right. And we do our best to keep these from becoming a Cyber Florida infomercial, but I also would share, you guys are constrained in your manpower, and we're not an end-all be-all by any means, but Cyber Florida, through the CYBR program, we'll remind the audience, has some resources out there and more coming online in the future, especially aimed at small businesses and public sector entities to make sure that you know what your exposure right now to the risk is, what your cyber apparatus is in comparison to where it should be, and then resources on the back end to help, you know, put that plan, that response plan together, that kind of thing. So there's help out there to get these resources, at least get it started.
And to your point, it being a business decision, it's important that all individuals in the business at all levels are aware and on board and being proactive. CEOs, CFOs, that type of thing too. It's not just your IT department.
Right. And it comes down to we're only as good as the employees we have. Right? If they are clicking on random links or getting phishing scams or whatever the case may be, that's your most vulnerable weakness right there is letting them in the door and clicking on things, browser hijacks. I mean, we see it all. And you can only do so much to protect the system. But having that policy in place that provides an opportunity for training for your members, that provides a reoccurring theme that says protect, is always the first step in progress.
That reminds me, I got a text message this morning from the Turnpike saying I had some unpaid tolls. So I'm going to give you a personal one.
I got that same one as well today, that I had delinquent tolls. But sadly enough, we see many citizens fall victim to those scams every day.
And speaking of, going right into the next question, how can law enforcement and or the public support victims of cybercrime?
That's a tough one because when you think victims of cybercrime, some people think businesses, and businesses have enough money. They have the money, so they make enough revenue and they generate profits, and they should be okay. What you don't see is a lot of the elderly population that we have. You see a lot of people that fall to a financial crime where they call and they think it's their financial advisor, and through social engineering, they have romance scammed them. They have got into their banking accounts, their financial accounts, and we use the term pig butchering to where there are organized entities that's what they do. They daily tag to go after somebody who they think So we have a victim relief fund in Florida here to help some of the folks who fall victim to a cyber incident through the Attorney General's office.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
That's powerful.
That's awesome.
In my former life, when I worked for CFO's Atwater and Petronas after him, they do a lot of financial awareness, scam prevention, especially with our senior population in Florida.
Oh, it's awful. It is. And it's not, it's somebody's parents at the end of the day. But yeah, we've had some good successes trying to get the word out about crypto fraud and ATMs and the way the individuals are withdrawing money to put it into another account, and subsequently over time, tens and twenties of hundreds of thousands of dollars that is more than likely gone.
It's awful.
Once again, back to that experience, and that's why it's so powerful here that we have that account now. At least there's some relief.
It has.
Multiple stories of entire life savings is gone.
Yeah, we've been able here recently to return a substantial amount of funds to 2 or 3 different victims who were made them whole after they were lost. So it's a partnership with FDLE and the Attorney General's office and statewide prosecution. So we under the guidance of then former Attorney General Ashley Moody, who helped kind of be out in front of this as far as tackling it.
Wonderful. So that takes us actually to our last scripted question for you. Have you seen, and this is self-serving a little bit of this again, we've got a symposium tomorrow where we're going to tackle some of these questions, but have you seen any emerging technologies that will be powerful in helping you guys combat cyber criminals, and then also helping you advocate, restore, make whole victims of cybercrime? So,
it was been mentioned already at this event, at the con here today, is the use of AI. Of course, for those of us that have been around a while, AI is really nothing new. AI has been here. It's just now a very hot topic. And so when we see AI, the benefit we see is being able to do analytics on a large scale and better use of somebody's time. When we're looking at large volumes of data before having parsing tools and other data sets that we have access to, being able to use AI to look through that needle in the haystack in terabytes of data in rapid time. But on the flip side, we see people using AI to write bad scripts, to create more ransomware, to make that bad actor even easier to become because of the use of AI. And for those of you, those that know how to write and do programming and coding, they'll tell you that it's not perfect. It's machine learning. At the end, the data that you put into it is only as good as the data you put in is what you're going to get out of it. And so when you look at people saying, "Oh, I had this write this Python script for me," or "I had to do this," if you really looked at it, it's probably got some faults in it. But AI is the ultimate question for us in the use of AI, at least from us in the law enforcement world, is where are we providing that data to? Whom is the company? Where does the data reside? In what cloud? And who has access to it? Because if we're putting criminal information in there about ongoing law enforcement investigations, our concern is who else has access to that cloud set? I know if we subscribe to you as a company, who you are as a company, we really need to know, because we don't want that data falling in the wrong hands. And so that's a challenge today, because it's so easy to just say, well, just take all your criminal justice data and dump it in the cloud. Well, there's some concerns there.
How secure is it? How protected? Right.
Jordan, you have any closing thoughts for Mike?
I don't. I think you've covered everything. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to be here. Mike is a great friend, has a FDLE of Cyber Florida. We thank you guys for all of your involvement with our center and love the partnership, and appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today.
Thanks. It's been fantastic. It's been it goes both ways on the partnership. We've done a lot with Cyber Florida, and we'll continue to do so.
Wonderful. Thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to Cyber Florida's Shameless Plug with Jordan.
Cyber Florida is so excited to announce the return of Florida's first ever statewide high school cybersecurity competition, Cyber Launch. During Cyber Launch, students are introduced to the universe of cybersecurity careers through the fun of a statewide competition. The program offers various resources for teachers and students who are new to the field in an effort to build interest in cybersecurity as a career and to foster awareness of cybersecurity best practices. Cyber Launch is completely free and is open to any and all high schools in the state of Florida. This year, it will be held in Orlando on April 4th, and although we are currently full, you can still submit a request to attend and be added to our waitlist. And obviously, if you aren't able to get in this year, we'd love to see you there next year. You can find more information on the Cyber Florida website, cyberflorida.org. I'm Jordan. That's my plug.
All opinions expressed by the Chat Cyber podcast participants are their own and do not exclusively represent the views and opinions of Cyber Florida.